Today I want to review with you how to write the equations of lines. There are two different main ways of writing equations of lines. The first is slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. The m stands for slope, rise over run. The b stands for y-intercept. It is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. Point-slope form is, I think, a little bit more confusing to look at, but in the long run, it's my preferred method as the problems get harder. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Oops, sorry about that. So when you go to use point-slope form, the m is still your slope. It's the rise over run. But then you need a point, which is why it's called point-slope form. So you will be given an ordered pair. I'm just going to make this one up. You'd put the 2 in place of the x, and you'd put the 3 in place of the y. You'd put your m value here, and you'd end up solving to get y by itself. The only problem that my students seem to have with this particular form is that if they were to use negative values, if this is your x, the negative 3 is your y. So you'd put a negative 2 and a negative 3. So it would read y minus a negative 3 and x minus a negative x. So if you choose to use this method, just be careful of the double negative. Horizontal and vertical lines. Horizontal goes with the horizon. Vertical, up and down. So when we go to graph, the horizontal line is going through the y-axis. So because it's cutting through the y-axis, it's going to be y equals whatever number it's at. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This one would be y equals 4. The vertical line is going through the x, cutting all the way through it. So 1, 2, 3, this is going to be x equals 3. So x equals a number, y equals a number. Writing the equations. You can use both for the most part. Point-slope form isn't always appropriate for every problem. For instance, problem A, it gives you the y-intercept, and it gives you the slope. So I'm going to use slope-intercept form, y equals, there's my m, and the b value, plus b. This sign, this plus, depends on what the symbol of your b value is. Since this is a positive 4, I put a plus there, or 1/4. If it would have been a negative 1/4, it would have a minus. I really don't think point-slope form is worth your time here. Problem B. You're given a graph. To use slope-intercept form, you need slope and you need intercept. Well, my slope is rise over run, rise over run. My y-intercept is here where it's crossing. Y equals, here's your m value and your x value. If you wanted to use point-slope form, you could. What you would need is still your slope, and you would need an ordered pair. Choose any ordered pair on the graph. If you wanted to, you could use the same one, and you'd plug everything in. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus your x value. Distribute. The goal is to get y all by itself. Half times 0 is 0, so I'm not even going to write it. Well, I guess I can. Get the y by itself, so you'll move the 1 to the other side. Same answer, same problem, same line. Letter C. Letter C is a horizontal line. You can go back and look at your notes. We just wrote down horizontal and vertical lines. Or the way I kind of think about it is that it's cutting through the y-axis. So I know it's a y equals 1, 2, 3. It's cutting through the y-axis at 4. And I don't think point-slope form is needed there. These problems are one step harder. you're not given a graph, and they haven't given you y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b. Here's my m. Here's an x value. Here's a y value. But the value we don't have is b. By plugging in the values that you know, y is a -5, m is a -2, x is a -3, and I don't know what b is, I can get b by itself. I'm going to simplify, multiply these two together. I still need the b alone. The 6 is a positive, so to undo that, I'm going to subtract it. So -11 ends up equaling b. So my answer is going to be y equals the m value, x minus 11. So because the 11 was a negative, the symbol in front of your b is also a negative or a minus. Point slope form. I know the y value. It's the -5 from the other side. Be careful of the double negative. I know the m value, and I know the x value. Again, be careful of the double negative. I need to get the y all alone. I'm going to simplify. Y plus 5 is equal, I'm going to go ahead and call that double negative a plus. So it's going to be -2 times x and -2 times a +3. Get the y by itself. Y equals -2x minus 11. Same answer, same line, two different methods. Please complete letter E on your own, given the example for letter D. And lastly, I'd like to walk you through letter F. F is the hardest because you don't have M and you don't have B. You have to calculate both of them. For point slope form, the unknown is your M, and you need to pick only a single point to use. So let's find your M first. To find slope, we subtract the y values on top and the x values on bottom, and that's why I misspell the word rise. The order of subtraction doesn't matter as long as whatever you subtract on top, you subtract on bottom as well. So I'm going to take my y values, -13 minus a -1, and then I'm going to take my x values, 5 minus 2. That double negative is a plus, which gives me -12. 5 minus 2 is a 3, so my slope is a -4. Since I now have my slope, I'm going to pick one ordered pair to use. I'm going to pick the one with the smallest numbers and start plugging everything in. Let me get that out of the way. So I'm going to pick this point. There's my x and my y. The y value, the m value, the x value, and I don't know b. Multiply. Add the 8 to the other side. And I'm going to put it back together. So y equals mx plus b. Doing the same thing using point slope form, we already calculated the slope. And then pick one of the 2 points. I'm going to use the same one, 2, -1. Y minus my y value, careful of the double negative, equals my m value times x minus the x value. I'm going to clean this up first and distribute. Get the y by itself. Y equals 4x plus 7. Oops, -4x. And then I need you to do letter G in your notes and complete the worksheet. Please let me know if you have any questions.